Hey everybody, what's up? This is just a response to some of the WrestleMania reviews that Offtheropesshow has been doing. Now, first of all, for any of you that are probably wondering, yes, once again, I am back down to 15 minutes or less. Basically, I think what it is in every other month I get this privilege, and it's probably the same for some other people. So don't be surprised if you see some multiple part videos in the future. But anyway, getting back on topic. The guys at the Off the Rope Show have been doing reviews of previous and past WrestleManias leading up to this year's. Now, some of the things they've been talking about during these reviews is that some of the WrestleManias, like 1 through 3, 5 and 6, and perhaps 8 and 9, and even 11, with a few exceptions of maybe 1 or 2 matches on the others. One of the things they always look at is they always look at these matches that at these WrestleManias that I mentioned, and they kind of think to themselves, why are these matches even taking place? What reasoning do they have to even take place at WrestleMania? Well, I have 3 reasons why I believe these matches happen. One, I believe that it's a year-long reward. It's a reward for a great year before. In other words, like the previous year before, because a lot of people say that WrestleMania is like the season finale for the WWE, and that that Monday Night Raw, the next night, is the beginning of the season premiere of the new season, of the new year, and that Backlash is the beginning of the new pay-per-view year, or Extreme Rules as it's now known, is known for the pay-per-view year. And basically what WrestleMania is the like I said, to me it's like the year-long reward for all the superstars, all the men and women, all the divas, if you will, that have had a great year before. That's why some of these matches take place. For example, they brought up some good matches, they brought up some, not good matches, but they brought up some matches that to them, like I said, didn't make any sense and had no reasoning for being on the card. Well, like I said, the reasoning is to reward the men and women of that year, for that year, for having a good year before. That's what it is. To reward them for having a good year, a good run the year before. That's what it is. It's like it's like if it's like at the end of at the end of a football or baseball season. And I apologize for leaving there. I had to let my dog out. Decided to go bathroom, I guess. But again, what it is, it's like being selected to the All-Star game in the middle of the season or at the end of the season. And even though the match may not have any reasoning behind it, no backstory, that's kind of like being on the reserves. In other words, you're brought into the game, into the All-Star game, like around, let's say baseball, you're brought in around the 3rd to 5th inning. Around with basketball, like say after the first couple of minutes. Football after like the first quarter or 2. Same with hockey, things like that. That's basically what these matches are like for these people. It's like being selected to the All-Star game even though you're put on the reserve part of it. Now another way I look at this, folks, is it's also a way to establish new stars. Now, let's say a star could already have A new star could have already been in the main event. Could already have had a championship match. You know, they could have done all that, but to really solidify them as a main player, as a main event player, or at least an elite or legit superstar, you know, for years to come in that company, then WrestleMania is the place for them to do it. Even if it, like I said, even if the match has no reasoning, no story behind it, WrestleMania is the place to do it. It's the place to be established. And the same could be said for tag teams. You know, even if the tag team consists of two veterans that have already been established, two superstars that have already been established individually in singles competition, WrestleMania is a way to establish them now as a tag team, as a legit tag team in the tag team division. I mean, some great examples are Razor Ramon, Scott Hall at WrestleMania 9. The Allied Powers, despite how people feel about that. British Bulldog and Lex Luger established as a team at WrestleMania 11. Owen Hart at WrestleMania 8. You know, and the list just goes on. The list just goes on. Even for superstars that have already, even for superstars and wrestlers that have already established themselves in a big way elsewhere and have had acknowledgement for that by the WWE or WWF at the time, you know, WrestleMania is the way of establishing them now as a legit force or as a legit and elite superstar or team in that company. Like the Legion of Doom, they got established with the victory over Power and Glory, which comprised of Hercules and Paul Roma, and they were trying to establish themselves as a tag team as well, even in a losing effort. But again, Legion of Doom, legendary tag team, had won multiple titles all over. WrestleMania 7 was their way of being established as a legit threat and a legit tag team in the WWE. You know, the same could be said for even Ric Flair. You know, I know that's hard to believe, but Ric Flair, even though he won multiple world championships in the NWA, WCW, WrestleMania 8, he made history by becoming the first newcomer to the WWE to not only main event WrestleMania, but to main event it as the WWE champion. So it further established him not just worldwide on a wrestling scale as the legend that he has become, but it established him, it thoroughly established him as a central main event figure for the rest of '92 in the WWE, or F at the time. That's what it did. Now, the same can be said for someone like Lex Luger, WrestleMania 9. His WrestleMania debut, yeah, it had a legit backstory with Mr. Perfect. But it helped establish Lex Luger as a legit force in the WWF. That's what it did. And the same can be said this year for Alberto Del Rio. He's a newcomer to the company, and he's main eventing. He's in one of the main events of WrestleMania, and he's wrestling, and he's competing for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, will he walk out with it? Possibly. But that shows you that not only is he going to further establish himself as a main event player in the company, but as someone that's going to be a legit force and superstar to combat with for years to come. Now, a third reason, and this may sound a little ridiculous, is to reestablish a star. The third reason for WrestleMania, some of these matches taking place, like I said earlier, they may not make sense or anything. A third reason is to reestablish a certain superstar so that they can be reestablished as a possible legit threat and a legit superstar in that company. Maybe a main event player, if you will. And there are many examples. WrestleMania 9. I mentioned Razor Ramon's match, you know, and how it established him even further. That match was against Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund was trying to reestablish himself as a superstar and a main event player. Another example, the following year, you had Earthquake trying to reestablish himself as a main event, as a elite player, as a superstar, as a competitor in the WWF in his match against Adam Bomb. And Adam Bomb, again, it could go in the category of trying to establish himself even in a losing effort. Now another superstar, and I may get some difference of opinions here. Another superstar that used WrestleMania to reestablish himself as a main event person, Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior had been hyped up to make his return to WrestleMania 12. He faced off against a young Triple H at that time, and he beat him. And thus by beating him, he was reestablished as a legit superstar, as a competitor, and as a main eventer. Heck, we can even say the same with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, fully established, no doubt about it. But to reestablish him fully back into the WWE or WWF at the time fold and universe, the match against The Rock did just that. It reestablished him. You see, what I'm saying is that third reason is why some of these matches take place. Either they make sense or not. Like Warrior's match with Triple H made no sense whatsoever. It probably had no reasoning for being on the card except to get Warrior over. Same with Bob Backlund. Yeah, he lost to Razor Ramon to establish Razor even more so, but it helped reestablish Backlund once again as a superstar. Same with Earthquake. Earthquake beat Adam Bomb, got reestablished as a legit superstar. Adam Bomb, in a losing effort, got himself established as a superstar. The same with Hulk Hogan. He had some backstory with The Rock. One of the most anticipated matches in history, and in a losing effort, he got reestablished once again into the fold. I mean, there are a lot of other examples out there too, and you can probably name a few, like WrestleMania 9. Crush tried to get himself reestablished over as this Hawaiian dude. Doink tried to get himself established as a newcomer, and they both kind of helped each other out by doing just that. You see, those three reasonings that I mentioned are the reason some of these matches, whether they have a backstory or in a reasoning behind them or not, take place. It's one, a reward for a job well done the previous year. Two is to establish new superstars and even new teams that comprise of possibly veteran superstars. And three is to reestablish superstars and past veterans that are trying to make a comeback in the business and in the company. So that to me is the reason some of these matches, as you guys at the Off the Rope show mentioned, take place, whether take place and occur at WrestleMania, whether they have backstory or not. So that's just my take on it. You guys tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree or not. Comment down below, and I will talk to you all later.